Thank you for joining us today as we explore the different energies that we use to make our lives easier. My name is Heather Essink, and I am joined today by Blair Brooks, Brendan Langdon, and Tara Camacho. We will go on to explain alternate energy sources available to us and how each can be harnessed and used to replace the world's dependence on fossil fuels. Each of us will talk on a different energy source that through research we have not become experts but have developed a vast amount of knowledge on. Today we will discuss wind power, solar power, tidal power, and wave power, and what each is, how it may be used, and the pros and cons of using each of them. Wind power is taking the natural formation of wind and turning it into a useful form of energy, such as wind turbines for electricity, windmills for mechanical power, and wind pumps for pumping water and drainage. Using wind power has many advantages, such as it produces no greenhouse gases, is completely renewable, clean, plentiful, and does not take up a lot of land. People have been using wind power for thousands of years to pump water to their homes, livestock, and land. Windmills have made it possible for farmers and ranchers to survive in rural areas where standing water is unavailable, but where underground springs and reservoirs are plentiful. That was just the beginning. In July 1887, Professor James Blyth started experimenting in turning wind into electricity. This led Charles F. Bush to create a wind-powered machine that would produce electricity. This machine powered his home and lab from 1887 to 1900. In the 1890s, Pour LaCour took it one step further by constructing wind turbines that would generate electricity, which would then be used to create hydrogen, thus creating the modern-day wind turbine. I know firsthand just how important wind power can be. Growing up in a ranch in South Dakota, all of our water is pumped via windmills, and when electricity goes out, we rely on our generators powered by our windmills to help us run our household appliance. Without our windmills, we would not be able to run our cattle on the amount of land that we do now. Most of our land does not have standing water available year-round, so the pumps are needed not only for our livestock and us, but to help the wildlife to survive as well. Let's take a more in-depth look to how you actually turn wind into electricity. Wind power starts with the sun. When the sun heats up the land, the air around the land absorbs some of that heat. When the temperature reaches a certain point, the hotter air moves faster than the cooler air. Faster moving air particles give out more pressure than slower moving particles, so it takes two of them to maintain the normal air pressure at a given altitude. When that lighter air suddenly rises, the cooler air quickly fills in the gap the hot air left behind. The air rushing in to fill in the gaps is called wind. When a rotor blade is put in the path of the wind pushes on it, transferring some of its energy to the blade. This is how a wind turbine captures energy from the wind. When the turbine blade captures the wind energy, they start moving and spin a shaft that leads from the hub of the rotor to the generator. When the generator turns the rotational energy into electricity. So in short, generating electricity from wind is all about transferring energy from one medium to another, otherwise known as the transfer of kinetic energy. Wind turbines are now being built all around the world on and offshore. Offshore turbines generate more power due to the increased wind speeds. This makes them more popular because less turbines can create more power, making them less expensive in the long run, even with the increased difficulty of building and maintaining them. Onshore turbines are built on thousands of acres of land, but the areas of actual land that is unusable is significantly less than any other energy source. The land may still be used for agricultural purposes and creates very little interference with the natural environment. The U.S. led the way in turbine installation until Germany took over from 1997 to 2008, where U.S. again swept into the lead, only to be overtaken in 2010 by China. Research has determined that the potential of wind power is far greater than originally expected, and if utilized properly, could produce 40 times more energy than current power consumption. Currently, there are enough wind farms globally to power 5 cities the size of Miami. This number is only expected to increase as we look towards healthier power sources. The cost of wind power is significantly lower than that of fossil fuels, due to the price not fluctuating depending on the economy. Wind prices can be set at a fixed price for a fixed amount of time because the energy source itself is free, and the only cost to consumers is the cost of obtaining that energy from the electrical utility companies. The only increase would come from the fluctuation of costs of building materials, but that in the long run would decrease as more turbines are built. Currently, the cost is 5 to 6 cents per kilowatt hour, which is 2 cents cheaper than coal-fired electricity. The drawbacks to wind power are that a large amount of turbines are required to create a usable amount of electricity. This would not be an issue if we could put wind turbines wherever it was necessary, but not all areas of land meet the criteria needed for power production. Once an area is found that meets the criteria, the cost of building and maintaining a wind farm can be expensive, but worthwhile when you look at the bigger picture. Wind power is only one type of energy we can look at as a replacement for fossil fuels. And with the increase in global warming, it is vital that we start taking an active part in helping to develop ways in which we can clean up our world. Wind farms have a huge potential because as long as there is life, there will be a never-ending source of wind. Why not use that in our favor and make the future brighter for us all?